Good morning, student. Myself, Dr. Shivaji Andhale, Department of Botany, S.V.K.T Arts, Science and Commerce College, Devali Camp, on behalf of Maratha Vidya Prasad Samaj, Nashik. Dear student, in a previous lecture, we will discuss about introduction to the Funaria. Funaria is a thallophytic plant. They can be grow on surface of the soil, and these bryophytic plant is a very essential of water molecule. Without water molecule, they do not grow to them. Then also discuss about their morphology of the Funaria. In the morphological structure of this Funaria, there is a sort of a species, there is a upright in position. They are looking like a plant-like structure. At the basal portion of the Funaria, there is a formation of root-like structure. It is called as the rhizoids. And this rhizoid is useful or beneficial for anchoring the substratum at the basal portion to absorb the water and mineral inside the soil. And another portion is the upright in position, like a stem-like structure. They covered by the leafy-like structure, and the stem and leaves, they are the greenish in color. They can be developing to them, and they prepare their own food material. Above portion is the developing of their reproductive organ called as sporangia. Sporangia can be developing at the tip portion of this Funaria. Then also we will discuss in the previous lecture about the anatomy of the Funaria. Anatomically, the distribution of this Funaria will first take a transverse section of the stem. In the stem, there is the outermost layer. There is a single layer of the epidermal zones are present to them, and these are very useful or beneficial to their protect the inner side of the zone. This epidermal layer, there is a without any intercellular space, and also there is absence of the stoma. Just below this epidermal cell, there is the presence of the cortex zone. This is a cortex zone. There is also very useful or very beneficial to them. They store the reserve food material inside that stem, and these cells are also loosely arranged to them. Just below at the central portion or central is their stele, and these stele there is a hard in position, and there is a very compactly arranged to them. There is a useful or beneficial for uplifting of water and mineral molecules to the above part of this plant body. This is the anatomical structure of this stem. Then reproduction of this Funaria. Funaria can be reproduced into there are two types of the reproduction: vegetative type of reproduction, and is a sexual type of reproduction. In a vegetative type of reproduction, there is a formation of certain part are decaying, and those parts they are survive. They can be propagated into new individual plants. Certain of this plant there is a formation of bulbils, certain of the branching formation. They can be grow to them or stolen formation, and these bulbils they can be separated out by this plant body, and they can be propagated into their new individual plant. This is their vegetative type of reproduction, and another type is the sexual type of reproduction. In sexual type of reproduction is the oogamous types. So what is my oogamous types of the reproduction? Oogamous means there is a very well development of the male sex organ and female sex organ. In the male sex organ, it is called as a antheridium, and female sex organ is called as a archegonium. After they can be developing to them, and these are archegonium or female reproductive organ or female and male sex organ, there is a very essential for at the time of development is the water molecule. Without water molecule, they do not develop, do not the formation of the sex organ. There is a very essential also water molecule for after their releasing of the spore or sperm in outside, and these spore are flagellated and they can be passed through them by archegonium, and after they can be fertilized to them, they can be fused to them, and after the formation of zygote, and after this the point that process is called as a sporangiophore. They can be developing to them. These are we will detail discuss about in a previous lecture about the introduction, morphology, anatomy, and reproduction of the Funaria. Then in today's lecture, we will discuss about the morphology of the Pterophyte. Then also we will discuss about the vascular cryptogams, then general character feature of the Pteridophyte, and the classification of the Pteridophyte. First, we will discuss about the introduction of the Pteridophyte. Pteridophytes are plants that do not have any types of the flower and seed formation. When do not formation of flower, ultimately they do not formation of fruit and seed formation. Hence, another their name of this cryptogam. Hence, this is another name. But in pteridophytic plant is the presence of the vessel. They are a very closely ancestral character feature of the angiospermic and gymnospermic plant or phenotogamic plant. But there is the absence of the flower. absence of the seed inside the plant, and hence they are grouped inside in cryptogam. Crypto means there is a non-flowering and non-seeded plants. They including in the fore and horse tail. They including there are certain so many species of the fore and horse tail, means Silaginella in that types. Then another fact of this pteridophyte, they are considered as a post terrestrial vascular plant, showing the presence of their vascular tissue, means conducting tissue are present, and post land plant developing by the vessel cell. What is by vessel cell? It is called as a xylem and phloem, or conducting cell. It is called as a vessel cell. Xylem and phloem. Mostly we find these plants in a damp and shady place. Mostly of this pteridophytic plant, like Silaginella as well as in the Pistia, or another set of this Azolla. Mostly species of fern, they can be grow in morsous places. There is a very essential of morsy and shady places. They can be grow very well. Also, most of the fern are grow in a ornamental plant. Certain of this plant is very showy, so much attractive. So many fern, they are so much attractive. Azolla plant, so much are attractive plant. They can be grow in an ornamental area as a showy plant in garden as well as in the periphery of your home also, or the periphery region or in your garden. Then another, the plant body can be divided into their very well true root, stem and leaves. But in a cryptogamic another plant like fungi, then also sort of these bacterial species or sort of these cyanobacterial species. Means the fungi as well as in the algal species, also in the bryophytic species, they do not development of the true root, stem and leaves. All of the cryptogamic plants are thallophyte, but these plants are so much closely ancestral to the angiospermic plant, and hence there is a very well development of the true root, stem and leaves. Saprophyte, it is the main plant body here. There is a decaying this plant body. The main plant body here, there sporangia. They can be developing the spores inside that sporangia, or it's called as sporangiophore. They can be developed the thousands of the spore. Then another characteristic feature of this pteridophyte bears some leaf-like appendages called as a sporophyll. On the surface of the stem, there is for development of their appendages, leaf-like structure of the appendage they can be developing to them. In a few species such as in the Silaginella and Equigetum, sporophyll form the compactly arranged structure called as a cone or strawberry. Only these two species, Equigetum and Silaginella, there is a formation of cone-like structure, very compactly arranged to them, and hence called as a strawberry or called as a cone. Then another character feature of this classification of pteridophyte. Pteridophytes are classified in their proposed by their K.R. Sporne in 1975. He divided this pteridophytic plant into their 6 classes. First is the Psilopsida. These groups of the Psilopsida of the pteridophyte are extinct on surface of the earth recently. Then another group is the Psilotopsida. They are the survive, they are the living form. Then Lycophyta, they are also living form. Then Phenophyta, there is also survive on surface of the earth. Then also Pteridophyta, they are also survive, they can be also grow on surface of the earth. Then lastly the Gymnospermopsida. This is also living and survive on surface of the earth. They are these 6 classes. Then the plant body, the first we distinguish feature of this Psilophyta. This is a Psilopsida, it is also called as Psilopsida. This plant body is a rootless sporophyte that differentiate into their subterranean rhizome and an aerial irregular shoot formation. Means the roots are absent, rootless. There is a formation of rhizome, tuber-like structure they can developing to them, and about tuber-like structure they can developing by the irregular shoot. Branching is a dichotomous. Each of this plant, there is a branching of this Psilopsida is a dichotomous, both in a subterranean rhizome and aerial shoot. The rhizome, born on the rhizome, absorb water and nutrient from the soil. Rhizoids, they can born inside that soil and they can be developing by their development of this plant, but they can be absorbing the water molecule, very essential, and absorb the water and mineral molecule inside the soil, and they can be developing or they can be propagating into their new individual plants. Then another distinct feature of this Psilopsida, leaves obtained, there is a absent or it is a present, they are in a spirally arranged scale like. Plant body or stem or branches, they are the greenish color, hence the leaves are absent. When the leaves are present, they are looking like the scale like structure, and they can be useful or beneficial for the protection of this plant body. Leaf like appendages, they can be developing to them. Certain of these Thespipteris are born. Now, vascular tissue is a primitive types, means arrangement of the vascular bundle, they are primitive, simple. These are the vascular tissue are simple, cylindrical, and they are this arrangement of this xylem and fluid called as they are the protostelic. The annular or the spiral, their tracheids are also present inside that plant body. Then another is the distinguished feature of the Psilopsida. The secondary growth is absent. Means these plants are only in animal. After there is a completion of life cycle, they are stunted their growth. And sporangia are born at the apex of the aerial shoot. At the tip portion of the shoot, they can be developing by this apex of the aerial their shoot. They can be developing by born their apex. Sporangia can be developing to them. Sporangia always bear the same type of the spore. All spores are similar, and hence it is called as a homosporous. The gametophyte is known only in a Psilotum, and in the Thespipteris, they are the only these genus are living genera, while unknown in the Psilophytales. Another is the unknown, they are living or they are extinct on surface of the earth. Then another class is the habitat and distribution of this. So second is a Lycophyta. The plant body is a sporophytic and can be deposited in their very well development of the true root, stem and leaves. The leaves are small, means microsporophyll, simple with a single midvein. These are the simple, and this form a prominent midrib, means midveins are present at this inside that leaves. They are usually spirally arranged. They are arranging on the stem in the spirally, sometime in the opposite in fashion, and even in whorl, in rounded like structure, they can be developing at the surface of the stem in the nodal region. Then another character, some of these cases, the leaves are ligulate, basically the Silaginella and Iosotis. The ligules is present at the base of each leaf. The vascular tissue may be either in the form of the plictostele, Sphenophyta, or sometime even in a polystele. Means vascular tissue arrangement of xylem and phloem, they are different. Certainly the plictostele, they are different, their arrangement, certain of the presence of xylem at the center and covering by the phloem cell. Sphenophyta means xylems are present at the center and covering by their xylem cell. In that types, they are arranging to by this vascular tissue. Leaf gap are absent on surface of the stem. Then another characteristic feature, the sporophylls are loosely arranged and aggregated to form strobulus or cone. Sporophyll means there is a reproductive organ, they are loosely arranged, not compactly arranged to them. They are loosely and hence they are easily dispersal inside a spore. Some member are homosporous, means both of the sex organs they can be developing on the same plant. It is called the homosporous. Best example is a Lycopodium. While other are heterosporous, means certain of this member are they can be developing on the another plants or another branches. They are developing by this male sex organ in one plant and another sex organ in the female sex organ in another plant. It is called as a heterosporous. Best example is Silaginella. Then another character of this Lycophyta, heterosporous form have endosporic. Means inside that spore they can be developing by this spore. It is called endosporic. Gametophyte, while in a homosporous form, the gametophyte is a exosporic. Gametophyte is a homo, means they are similar, same their structure formation. This is called as a homosporous. Then anthrozoids are flagellated or multiflagellated, Anthrozoids means a male reproductive organ. Male sex organs are the multiflagellated or biflagellated. 2 or 4 or 5 of these flagella are present, and these flagella they can be used or beneficial for the locomotion from the one place to the another place. The secondary growth does not take place except in Iosoetes. Another plant, secondary growths are absent, but in Iosoetes these secondary growths are present in this Lycophyta. Then another their habitat and distribution of this third their class is a Sphenophyta. The plant body is a sporophytic and can be differentiated into true root, stem and leaves. They are clearly distinguished into their true root, stem and leaves. The stem in the majority of this form is long, jointed or is articulated and is revered and having ridges and grooves. Means stem, majority of the stem there is a form of long, jointed, they are joined to each other, articulated and are revered. Stem is divided into node and internode. There is the presence of the nodal region and internode region, and it is they are developed as an upright aerial branches from their underground keeping rhizome. Means this internode, they are the basal portion of this branches, they can be developing by their rhizome, they are developing to them, and this rhizome they can be useful or beneficial for their creeping on surface of the soil. Leaves are thin. In this Phenophyta, leaves are very thin their structure, not a thick, small, very small and scaly, brown, are arranged in a transverse whorl at the nodal region of the aerial branches on surface of the stem. Branches also develop in a hole from the axil of the scaly leaves. Means branch can be developing at the nodal region. As the foliage leaves are reduced to scale, the process of the photosynthesis is taken up by the stem and hence it is become a greenish in color. Foliage leaves are there reduced to form their scaly formation, and hence green leaves they can be prepare their own food material. This is the photosynthesis in nature. Then Phenophyta, the stem has solid and protostele. Best example is a Phenophyllum, and is a medullary. This is another is a protostele, means arrangement of xylem and phloem. There is a alternate by each other. They are occurring in the equisetum. Means xylem they are present, and after there is a phloem cells are present to them. The sporangia are born on the specialized their appendages. Means sporangiophore and sporangia can be developing in the special their branch is called as a sporangiophore. And this sporangiophore, this sporangiophore, this sporangia can be developed at the apex of their fertile branches in the whorl, forming compact their cone. Means this sporangia they can be developing to them at the apex, at the tip of the portion, and their whorl forming the compact their cone. Most of the member are homosporous. Some of the members are the homosporous, they are the similar their structure formation, but some are fossil form are heterosporous. Certain other fossil form are occurring to them. They are disappeared, they are extinct on surface of the earth. Best example is the catamite. They are occurring by the homosporous. Certain and they are extinct of this group. It is called as the heterosporous. Gametophyte, they are prothally, maybe in a monoecious or dioecious. So what is my monoecious and dioecious? Monoecious means both of the sex organ can be developing on the same plant body, and certain of this plant, the developing of the sex organ in different their plants. It is called as a hetero or dioecious. Then gametophytes are exosporic and green. Gametophyte or gametes are exosporic and they are looking like green in color. There is the anthers are large and multiflagellated. Means antherozoids means male sex organs. There is a large in structure and there is a multi-layer. Means bi or multi-layer flagella are present to them, and this flagella can be very useful for locomotion of one place to another place or disperse from one place to the another place. The embryo is without their suspensor or it is exposed in nature. embryo without their suspension, and there is also in exposure. Then another group is the fourth is the Pterophyta. They occur in all type of the habitat. Means majority of the ferns are terrestrial, prefer to grow in moist and shady places, but in these groups they are occurring in water, on surface of the soil, also in shady places, also in moist places. They can be grow to them. Majority of this member except some fern, tree fern is a angiopteris. There is a formation of very large structure and how short and they stout their rhizome they can be developing to them. In another character, rhizome may be in a creeping. They can be creep on surface of the soil and upright or growing above the soil by the stem. Leaves are very large, maybe in a simple or is a opioglossum or sort of the member they are pinnately compound. Means small leaflet they can be developing to them, and they are described as a fraud. They are very beautiful their structure formation. Young fraud are they are circinately coiled in structure, they are rounded in structure can be developing to them by this fraud or circinately these leaves. Leaves are exstipulate, while stipulate in some of the groups. Means at the basal portion there is the absence of the stipule. Certain lipid-like structure there is the absent, hence called as the exstipulate. Then another character, vascular cylinder. It varies from protostele to the they are the complicated type of the Sphenophyta. Means these are also their distribution. This is complicated their type of the Sphenophyta. You know, solenostele, dictyostele and polyosteles are also found. Means the arrangement of the xylem and phloem, they are different in a different species, and hence this arrangement is called as a solenostele, dictyostele and polystele. The vegetative reproduction takes place by fragmentation. When branch can be fragmented and each of these branch they can be propagated at the favorable condition to their new individual plants. It's called as a vegetative reproduction. Sporangia arise from the placenta in a group. Sporangia spore they can be developing to them, and inside a sporangia they can be developing by the sori. You know, sori develop on the margin of the abaxial surface of the leaves or in the leaflet. These leaflet they are arranging in the marginal portion. They are very arranged very nicely, very beautifully by this abaxial surface of the sori. And sori are protected by the true their sporangial development may be in a leptosporangiate. You know, sporangia is the mostly cases have distinct their annual and stomium. Means sporangia they are clearly distinguished the cases in their distinct their annual and the stomium are present to them. Then another their character feature, member may be in a homosporous or heterosporous. Means sort of the member there is a both of the sex organs are present on the same plant. It is called as a homosporous. Sort of the member they can be developing by this sex organ to their different plant is called as heterosporous. The gametophyte may be in a exosporic or endosporic. Means gametophyte can be developing inside or outside on surface of this plant. Antheridia and Archiogoniate are partially or completely embedded in the gametophyte. Archiogoniate and Antheridia are male sex organ and Archiogoniate are female sex organ. They are the partially or completely embedded, completely developed by this gametophyte. The anthrozoids are multiflagellated. There is a many flagella are present by the anthrozoids, and these flagella they can be useful or beneficial for the locomotion. Embryogeny largely endosporic. Embryo, there is a female reproductive organ, there is a large and they are endosporic. Embryo may or may not have suspension. They do not developing to them. Diversity of the pteridophyte. You know, diversity is a way of the there is a variable climatic and there is a altitudinal variation. The Indian subcontinent represent Himalayan, Gangetic plant and their desert as you know diversity is center. Means each and everywhere these pteridophytic plant can be distributed to them. Maximum of number of the diversity of the pteridophyte observed in the Himalaya. Most of the species, why? They are the cold region and hence most of the species they can be occurring in a Himalayan region. or eastern or western region of the Ghat in Maharashtra as well as in the Karnataka and also in Tamil Nadu. There are about in a pteridophytic plant about 12,000 different types of species of the pteridophyte occur in the worldwide of this flora. Which these 12,000 species, which of these 1,000 species into their 17 families and 120 genera occur in different part of the present Indian or their political boundary. Most of the species, about 1,000 of species, they are the grow or they can be occur in Indian region. They are keeping in view of large area of the country. The present number of the diversity is the quite less as compared to the diversity. There is a this pteridophytic plant number is very less. Region-wise studies result in that maximum number of the 700 species, means about 58 species of pteridophyte occur in eastern Himalayan region and adjoining their state, just neighboring of the state. Thus, eastern Himalaya may be in a term as one of the hotspot diversity center of the pteridophyte. Mean Himal region like Kullu, Manali, Darjeeling, and that location there is a most of the species they are occurring to them. They are suitable for the temperature and climatic region also, and hence it is called as a hotspot of diversity of the pteridophytes. 400 different types of species in the southern Indian region, means in the Kerala as well as in the Andhra Pradesh and Maharashtra as well as in another is the Tamil Nadu region, they are occurring to them. 300 species of the northwest and 100 species in the central India and 125 species of the Andaman and Nicobar Island. The maximum diversity has been observed between 1,200 to 2,800 meter altitude in temperature and Himalayan and adjoining forest areas. The scrutiny of the diversity of the pteridophyte on all Indian basis, they are reserved and maximum number of 115 species and 28 genera of this family of the Polypodiaceae. Thank you so much. Then student assignment. Describe the general character of the pteridophyte. Write the classification of the pteridophyte. Summary. Introduction of the pteridophyte. Pteridophytic plant, they are distributed in the worldwide. About 12,000 different types of the species are occurring to them. This pteridophytic plant, there is a very well development of the true root, stem and leaves. Only in a cryptophytic plant, this pteridophytic plant, there is the presence of vascular tissue. Vessel cells are present inside that pteridophytic plant. And there is a very well development of the true root, stem and leaves. But they do not formation of flower and seed formation. Then also discuss about today's lecture classification of the pteridophyte. Pteridophyte can be classified to them into their 6 classes. Then distribution of the pteridophyte. Pteridophyte can be distributed in throughout the worldwide. Also in Indian region, 1,200 different types of this species they are distributed in India. But about 70 or 58% of the species they are occurring in the Himalayan region. Remaining of the part of this species they are distributed in the southern hemisphere of the Indian region. Then recap, the resemblance of the pteridophyte with their bryophyte, means in between this bryophyte and pteridophyte. What is the difference between bryophyte and pteridophyte? Bryophyte there is a thallophytic in plant body, there is the absence of the vessel, but in pteridophyte there is the presence of the vascular tissue. In a pteridophyte there is a development of the true root, stem and leaves. In bryophyte there is a formation of false true root, stem and leaves. In a pteridophytic plant, there is a very well development of the vascular tissue. Vessel cell, conducting cells are present, but in a bryophyte, these conducting cells are absent. Difference between pteridophyte and bryophyte, there is in a pteridophytic plant, they develop by the vessel. In bryophytic plant, there is the absence of the vessel cell. In pteridophytic plant, there is a perennial plant. Most of the species, but in bryophyte mostly are there the annual plant. In pteridophytic plant, there is a development of the sporangiophore, or this is called as a spore, and also bryophyte plant can be known as sporangia. In pteridophytic plant, there is a presence of their arrangement of their vascular bundle, means xylem and phloem. They are the different in different their species or different their genus, but vessel cells are absent in the bryophyte. Thank you so much.